Okay, then thank you for joining this youth-led session. The session's title is Advancing the Security of Today's Critical Infrastructure. Look into RPKI, QKD, and IoT internet working architectures. My name is Wataru Ohgai from Japan Network Information Center, JPNIC, and I will be moderating this session. Before we start, please note that this session will be conducted in English, as Kawachi-san said. And if you have difficulty following in English, you can use the closed caption function on Zoom, which automatically translates from English to Japanese. However, please keep in mind that the automated transcription is not always correct or authoritative, so I recommend understanding what we speak directly if possible. So this session is planned as a preparatory or introductory session for our upcoming workshop session 198 at the Global IGF 2024, titled Advancing IoT Security, Quantum Encryption, and RPKI. Most of the presenters here today will also present at the Global IGF. If you find today's discussion interesting, I encourage you to join the session next month as well. So back to the Japan IGF session. Today we have three main objectives. First, to understand advanced cybersecurity technologies. Second, to discuss opportunities and challenges. And finally, to actively engage with experts, youth experts in the field. We encourage everyone to participate actively, regardless of whatever you are from, technical or policy background or anywhere in between. A small note for all participants and panelists, please try to speak at a moderate speed so that everyone can easily follow the discussion and as well as the automated closed caption. Now, let me briefly introduce today's key technologies. First, quantum key distribution, or QKD, is a core technology for establishing secure communication on the internet. It uses principles of quantum physics to secure data against any interception, offering unprecedented security guarantees. Next, resource public key infrastructure, RPKI, is an emerging technology designed to ensure the validity of IP packet routes advertised on the internet. With RPKI, we can verify if the advertiser of an IP address prefix is authorized, as well as to ensure the integrity of the whole path that data packets take. Finally, the Internet of Things, or IoT, has grown significantly in the past decade. I assume many of you have devices connected to the internet beyond just your phone or laptops or other things. In industrial settings, companies often use hundreds or thousands of sensors or cameras, all connected to the internet. Today, we'll discuss how to secure this massive array of things spread across various environments. So we're going to move to the presentations from our esteemed panelists. Each panelist will give us a deep dive into one of the key technologies I've mentioned. First, we have Michal from QuDef BV, who will discuss quantum key distribution and its practical implications for digital infrastructure. Michal, the floor is yours.
Hello, I'm greeting from early morning in Europe. So let me share my slides. So can you see them?
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect. So hello, thank you for invitation for the last moment, because I'm here instead of Maria, who really will be presenting in the next meeting. So anyway, the goal was to teach you something about, or show you something about quantum key distribution. So let's start. Okay, if we hear about quantum key distribution, or shortly QKD, usually it's in connection with something we call quantum threat. It's a threat coming from quantum computers because we have some algorithms. When if quantum computers will be enough powerful, they will be able to break basically all asymmetric encryption. It's encryption we use for securing all communication, and also we can some symmetric encryption and hashes. And the problem is that there is already here now, because there are some adversaries who already, let's say, download your encrypted data, your public key. Then they will wait until there will be quantum computer. They will break the public key, obtain the private key, and unlock, decrypt your file. So problem is now. So what we can do? In case of this symmetric encryption and hashes, you can just, let's say, increase the size of the key. But in case of asymmetric encryption or cryptography, it's problem because we need to completely replace it. And basically there are two ways. One is post-quantum cryptography. It's just something mathematical. We just use new mathematical where we consider enough difficult also for quantum computers. Or we can fight quantum computers with quantum technology, and specifically with quantum key distribution. So here is coming the term of QKD, or quantum key distribution. Of course, there is no time to go deeply in quantum mechanics and quantum theory, but very shortly at a high level, what is quantum key distribution? It's basically quantum protocol on a quantum network. And it's similar, like you have classical protocols on classical networks. The analogy is pretty the same. In this case, this is specific protocol who will allow you to generate and distribute a key between two parties. And for that, we use quantum mechanics and its properties. Like we use individual photons, a really single photon, where each single photon corresponds, let's say, to your bits, or here we are speaking about quantum bits. And in parallel, we use some special properties like quantum superposition or quantum entanglement in combination with no cloning theorem. It means these quantum bits you are not able to copy. So you can imagine if someone want to eavesdrop or copy your communication, is not easily possible. In such case, because it's not possible to copy, we immediately can notice, and from this perspective is coming this very famous security. Formally, we call it information theoretical security. And from this perspective, the QKD basically is something we call future-proof security, because we mathematically can prove it cannot be broken even in the future algorithms. So the QKD sounds pretty cool. So why it's not common? Already we have quite some commercial solutions. So why it's not everywhere? So let's consider with me this example. I have my computer, my personal laptop. I have email, messaging apps, web pages, VPNs. Each of these applications is using some secure connection with different servers across all the world. So it's a huge amount of keys exchange basically everywhere. And that's not possible to manage by quantum key distribution, because QKD means that we need to install, develop new infrastructure, new hardware. So at least it's expensive, but there are other issues. For example, the point-to-point connection is, let's say, up to 100 kilometers, because if we work at the individual photons, we cannot use any, let's say, amplifier that we are used to for, let's say, for fiber connection or optical connection. And we need to have some special quantum repeater. There are many types, and I will not go deep because it will be for a long lecture. So anyway, we can overcome, but today it's working, it's commercially available, but let's say scalability and range is more difficult. So in reality, QKD today will be used for, let's say, high security connection, where we need to exchange some high sensitive data. For example, if you have connection between DNA sequencing lab and the data storage center, because this data if will be harvested today, they will be still valid in 20 years when there will be a quantum computer, and that's problematic. So the QKD is solution because even in 20 years, no one, even with the most powerful quantum computer, no one will break it. So today what we have, even commercial available, is something we call quantum network first generation. It's a quantum network that has basically only one service, quantum key distribution. And even if I'm a big fan and it's even my business to work around quantum communication, is a big question. Is it worth it? Just one service? And okay, for highly secure things, it maybe can make sense, but is it worth it all? Build all new infrastructure? And I'm saying yes, because then quite soon, let's say in 5 years, more or less, we can have something we call quantum network second generation, or more popularly, quantum internet. When upgrading to this quantum internet, it's just a relatively small upgrade where we need to install quantum memory. It's the critical element we are still missing. I mean, there are some in laboratory, but nothing, let's say, enough useful for practical applications. But when we will be able to build this quantum internet, then it's really internet or a big quantum network with multiple services. Except the QKD, you have shared secret, conference key agreement, quantum digital signature, position verification, or quantum computers. We will not be able to build one big quantum computer. It's extremely difficult. In the realistic case will be that there will be multiple quantum computers connected through quantum network or blind quantum computer, precise time distribution. Already today, quantum clocks can provide so precise timing that we are not able to distribute this precise timing because the present protocols cannot do it, are insufficient, and we can distribute again only with quantum networks, or for example, quantum money, blockchain, quantum secure voting. So then it's really starting to worth it. And if we are speaking today about QKD and this first generation quantum networks, it's not the goal. It's just it's the transition to the future quantum internet. So today we have especially many objections from this side of the national security authorities. I chose just one from US, but basically no one approved QKD yet. It's partial solution, special hardware, risk, cost. I have this nice picture of my colleague. So at the beginning, I said you can replace this asymmetric encryption by PQC, post-quantum cryptography, or quantum key distribution. And what we know today, this PQC already many candidates were broken, and it's just mathematical problem. So always someone can in the future come with some mathematical solution that will break it. So this, you never can prove it's secure. And then other problem is implementation. There were already attacks on this PQC or QKD. It's mistake, sorry. And it was demonstrated, and it's applicable for any system, even IoT, whatever, because it's implemented by people. And by the way, it's my business to help to close this gap. So, but the tower itself of QKD is unbreakable. So that's still very interesting. And now, very shortly, I would like to present you what is the state in the world. In the USA, it's not really a centrally driven topic. Of course, there are several academic research and pretty interesting, but not, let's say, globally controlled activity. In case of European Union, we have EuroQCI. That's exactly the project that builds this infrastructure, where each nation will build their own quantum network, national, and they will be interconnected by terrestrially through optical fibers or even through the space. European Union should launch this first quantum satellite next year, hopefully. And probably the biggest example is China, who has already over 2,000 kilometers of quantum key distribution over fiber. So you can see that the fact that you cannot scale it is not so much true, because in China they already can do, and they already have second generation of quantum satellites up. And the very last information is regarding the standards. We already have some standards, but basically all standards are about things around QKD. It's true we don't have really standards for QKD protocols themselves. So I hope this general overview in such short time was useful, and I'm for sure open to any question, even more, even in deeper questions. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you. And the Q&A session will be later following. So let me just jump into the next presentation. Is Nicolas from the MANRS Steering Committee will present on RPKI and its role in securing internet routing. I think he studied Japanese a little bit for by himself for this day. So please, Nicolas, you have the floor.
皆さん、こんにちは。ありがとう、Wataru。まず第一に私は日本語を話すことができませんが、概念の説明するときを再生の作します。トランスクリプトすることもできます。Thank you very much, Wataru-san, for the introduction, and a warm thank you to all of you joining today at the ICF in Japan. It's a privilege to be part of this panel advancing on, this Shusho in Furano Ansen, or critical infrastructure security. My name is Nicolas Fiumarelli, talking right now from South America. Here are 12 hours different from you. I am from a tiny country called Uruguay, that is close to Brazil, where João lives, and Argentina. And I can tell you a lot of Uruguayan people like to watch anime and know Goku. So last year I was in Kyoto for the Global ICF. Couldn't be in Tokyo actually, but it was a great experience to know about your country. I am a steering committee member of the MANRS initiative, the Mutually Agreed Norms for Routing Security, also part of the coordination team of the Uruguayan Internet Governance Forum, with extensive involvement in the Internet Governance and ANSEM Forum or security forums. Passionate about this global collaboration that is necessary sometimes to make our Internet safer, right? I will try to be brief or medium. I'll be diving into RPKI and its relation with Ango Shishutsu or cryptography, routing security, and some of the future challenges that quantum computing also brings to the routing security. To start with some of the fundamentals, the RPKI or Shigen Kokai Kagi infrastructure, or resource public key infrastructure, is one of the most crucial tools in the security toolkit for the root or the routing, right? RPKI provides a way for this to try to answer and show me or cryptographically verify these IP prefixes, ensuring that each IP block is announced by an authorized autonomous system or AS. Okay, an IP Internet Protocol address is like the shusho, the address for a device on the internet, such as the computer or your smartphone, right? It tells like other devices where to find, so they can send information like a virtual denvabango or phone number or your house address. An autonomous system, on the other hand, is a group of these IP addresses managed by one organization or a network provider, like a big chom or neighborhood. And each autonomous system or AS has its own unique number as well, 16 bits or 32 bytes, sorry, and then can decide how data travels across each part of the internet, like a sender of mailbox sender. So this is significant because it addresses a fundamental weakness in the initial protocols of the internet, or this border gateway protocol or BGP, which is basically the backbone of the internet routing, right? So BGP, these border gateway protocols, lacks this internet security to verify route origins, leaving it vulnerable to root or hijacking. a term usually called, is a type of attack where a malicious or misconfigured AES, sometimes they are just typos or errors in these codes managing the BGP. And this could lead to tráfico bocho, that is traffic interception, right? Or even denial of service attacks. These IP addresses, someone announces IP addresses that it doesn't own, so leading to this tráfico bocho I mentioned you. And so that's where RPKI comes on. Through RPKI, the owner of the IP addresses, the ones that you need to have by your regional registry, like LACNIC, APNIC, APNIC, FRENIC, and RIPE or ARIN, that are the 5 internal registries, or your ISP, if you have different layers of RPKI. These are only this owner of the IP addresses can create an object that is called the route origin authorization, or ROA, which are digitally signed statements, or this is also called route origin show me, for you to understand, and it's permitted to announce certain prefixes for that ASN. So when the routes are announced, these RPKI consortia or validators can check these ROAs, ensuring that only the authorized autonomous system propagates specific routes. So this ANSEN show me, or cryptographic validation, strengthens the global routing security, helping prevent hijacking and other routing incidents. Also in the RPKI, the Ango Shishutsu of cryptography is central, right? Also our colleague talked about some cryptographical algorithms and things. So these ROAs are digital signed using traditional systems like RSA and ECC. My colleagues will understand these cryptographic algorithms. And this is a robust mechanism today. However, as the quantum computing advances, it's important to consider how these Ango Shishutsu Hyoshin, that are the standards, may need to adapt. I will talk a little about RPKI, and later we can discuss on the quantum part. But as a steering committee members of the MANRS, I see first how this collaboration strengthen the internet infrastructure. You know that theoretically, this quantum computing, theoretically, with some improvements in practice, such as the last heard D-Wave case with the quantum annealing, could break certain cryptographic algorithms in use today, including those using in RPKI. Just a note here, because this was broken with weaker versions of the algorithms, like RSA with a few bits. But every time we see the news, a new retrout is made, and from stabilizing photons and having the first quantum computer working with thousands of qubits, while the quantum kiki or threats are not yet fully realized, we know this preparation is essential, right? So this is this is well known from the ICOM community, for example. If you hear the NIST spokesperson some months ago, one phrase that I remember for a few months ago, when they announced these 3 algorithms that are the Cyber Dilithium, Cyber Kyber, and Sphinx, was now we know these 3 algorithms are heavy orders, difficult to solve than the previous ones. Is more protection, right? So there is no reason whether memory, or there are some called devices, AVX2, that is hardware, similar to what Michal mentioned, that could be used to accelerate quantum computing, therefore encryption and decryption without necessarily compromising on key length. That is also an issue on DNSSEC. But there is ongoing research on post-quantum cryptography, right? So this type Ryoshi Ango post-quantum cryptography are resistant to quantum attacks. And that is why, because this is very important. And then I have some ideas for later in the talk to talk about some challenges in the adoption. That is something that also Wataru wanted to address. So I will return to you, arigato gozaimasu, Wataru, and then see how the session evolves.
Thank you, Nico. Your Japanese was very great, so keep on going. So, okay, the next is João from DCIS3C. We'll discuss the advancements in IoT security standards and the challenges we face in ensuring robust security across increasingly connected environments. So, João, please. Oh, I think we can hear you. Your Zoom mic is on, but I think your hardware. I hear some noise, but not your voice.
And now, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, great. Yeah. So, konnichiwa. It's a pleasure to be here today, and I want to extend my greetings to our distinguished audience. So, as we navigate through the digital age, the Internet of Things, or IoT, has become a key player in the digitization of our lives. So, yeah, IoT is a reality that permeates our industrial facilities, smart cities, and even our home appliances. In the past few years, we've witnessed a significant shift from relying on single dependent machines to owning multiple automated devices that are connected to the internet. And this transformation has changed the way we interact with technology in our daily lives. Like, for instance, I have a cleaning robot that I bought in Japan when I was in the IGF. And well, I often forget about it until it encounters a problem. And well, this example illustrates how increasingly we rely on these devices without actually supervising them. So at IS3C, we have conducted extensive research comparing IoT security regulations from over 30 countries around the world. And well, our findings reveal that a significant number of these regulatory documents focusing on implementing consumer-oriented security labels, developing best practices, and also consumer capacity building on how to configure it. So, these initiatives aim to enhance transparency and ensure that consumers can make informed choices about securing their devices. But, well, however, while these efforts are in the right direction, we also observed that many of these regulations lack clear of definitions and guidelines on how security tests should be executed. And this inconsistency can lead to varying levels of security across different markets and also devices. And well, it ultimately impacts the overall safety of the IoT ecosystem. And well, it's also important to highlight that there are some exceptional requirements for regulated markets like health equipment that mandate basic security practices and testing. But unfortunately, there is no clear definition on how these security tests must be executed. And well, this ambiguity really doesn't enforce the security of these devices. So when we look to the main challenges that we face in IoT security, first we have outdated, insecure firmware that leaves device vulnerable to attacks, and also, and secondly, many devices are insecurely configured, making them easy targets for exploration. So, and also additionally, the design of many IoT appliances doesn't prioritize security. So with all of this, even if you have a once reliable device, it can quickly become a security obsolete in just a few years. And this wasn't the reality when we talk about our home appliances, for example, like a fridge. We expect it to last for longer than most of the manufacturers can guarantee the security of it. So what we would like to see when we discuss about IoT security? Well, I advocate for a concept called security interoperability, which would allow us to have a unified protocol or system to security configure all IoT appliances. And this would simplify the user experience and also enhance security. So this idea is that we can really work on a way of configuring all that matters in just one spot with a simple set of rules that can be applied to all your devices. And moreover, we need to enforce security requirements. Just as the electronics market complies with country-specific regulations regarding electromagnetic radiation, it's time to establish basic security standards that are universally recognized. And this requires international coordination to ensure that all devices meet these essential security benchmarks, and also to really get in the most essential things and lead that, and not like block the development. How we get there? In conclusion, I would like to reflect on the historical agreement on the importance of standardizing communication for the internet. So 50 years ago, we needed to reach a similar consensus to make communications work internationally, and well, make the internet what it is now. So what I advocate is to have a similar consensus regarding security standards in IoT. And well, to achieve this, I propose collaborative work efforts. By working together, we can develop and implement the necessary standards that will protect users and foster security of the IoT environment. So, goseisho, arigatou gozaimashita. And I look forward to our discussions and exchange of ideas in this critical topic.
Thank you, João, and all our panelists for the very insightful presentations. So now let's move on to the discussion. I prepared some questions beforehand for each technologies. And we'll start by taking about QKD. Michal, could you elaborate a bit more on the potential challenges of a QKD adoption? I mean, you said about the next generation of the internet based on the QKD, particularly in terms of the scalability and the cost. Michal?
Of course. Regarding adaptability, as I said, you need basically new infrastructure. I mean, you can, for example, use the current optic fibers, but if you, let's say, put there the newer, more dark, it's even better. But in principle, you can use the same fibers, but at the end, anyway, you need to put the new devices that support working, let's say, with individual photons. So from this perspective, it's a hardware update. Then, of course, you need the whole new key management, because what is specific for this QKD, the key is generated during the process of QKD distribution. It's not like I first create key and then I distribute this key to my friend. No, the key is generated during this process. So it means this need a slightly different approach to key management system. Of course, today for practical reasons, because for longer distances, we need this trustable repeaters, and they are trustable or trusted repeaters because possible attackers could see in them, because we don't have this quantum memory where it will not be possible. So quite modern approach is that we combine this post-quantum cryptography with QKD. So post-quantum cryptography is first, let's say, layer of this onion on your key, and QKD is second layer for the transportation. So that's let's say modern approach. We have already several let's say demonstration, including from Japan. I mentioned China, also South Korea, Singapore are pretty advanced as well. So, and we have several practical use cases, like the communication between, I don't know, for example, in London is nice example, communication between HSBC headquarters in center of London with their main computing center behind the London. So they, using this VPN, QKD, they can establish, let's say, VPN tunnel, and where they can exchange a lot of data. So from this perspective, it's working, but indeed you need quite a lot of hardware, including the space part that is used especially for long distance connections. So basically for over thousands of kilometers. From the perspective of quantum internet, it's really mostly fundamental research. We have pretty good idea what we will be able to do, but first we need this quantum memory for, let's say, distribution of those entangled photons are, let's say, a bit more special qubits that are they have some special spooky properties together. So when we act on one, we can see effect immediately at the other photon, and that's problematic. We have already some quantum memories, but insufficient to really build this quantum internet. But at the level of, let's say, simulation, what we will be able to do is working. And what I didn't mention, all those extra services on quantum internet, they basically have the same security properties as quantum key distribution. So yes, so shortly.
Thank you. Just for the explanation, Japan is comparatively small country in terms of the land scale. So thanks to NTT or their technology NGN, new generation network, we have almost everywhere underground. There is a fiber everywhere around the world, around this country. So maybe it could be a lead to the compared to the other countries to Japan for adapting the quantum communication or next generation internet. So thank you for the question.
I just want to add what you said. Actually, in Japan, exactly, you have actually very good conditions. First of all, other approach is multiplexing of single photons with a classical optical communication. So if you have a very rich fiber network, that's a basic, that is ideal. And moreover, let's say one of the biggest QKD vendor is Toshiba. So it's a perfect combination. You have perfect conditions. Usually for, let's say, the biggest deployment, it in most cases it require, let's say friendly or even active support from governmental level.
Thank you. Yeah, I personally know quantum people from Toshiba and other people from NICT, which is the National Institute, and of course the IETF's research group on quantum things is led by the Japanese professor. Actually, his nationality is not. Yeah, his nationality is now Japan's, and so maybe the Japan could be the very rich country for the adapting this technologies. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, the next topic, Nicolas, RPKI. So from your perspective, what do you think are the biggest hurdles still remaining for RPK adoption among network operators globally or whatever in Japan? Or how do we encourage more operators to adopt RPKI, like issuing ROAs or doing route validation?
Yes, thank you, Wataru. And I will start saying that as a committee, as a steering committee member of MANRS, I see firsthand how Krelina collaboration, strengthens the internet infrastructure. MANRS or the mutually agreed norms for routing security promotes these key principles to prevent incidents like IP hijacking, but also other things like Fiumarelli or anti-spoofing, João, that is coordination, and Ninja, validation. These principles work hand in hand with the IPKI objective. So setting this baseline for routing security, MANRS is protecting both local networks and the global internet. And also we partner with GCA, that is the Global Cyber Alliance, to expand the outreach and support for routing security worldwide. So together, MANRS is advocating for RPKI adoption and create resources to help network operators, right? Like education is very important there, and also implementing secure routing practices. And the alliance also is an example of this Kokusai Kyoryoku that I was mentioning, or global partnerships that could be done to establish this series of procedures or the adoption to drive this adoption of more essential standards and practices. Also regarding the state of the art of the routing security, because in addition to RPKI, because I mentioned it only solves the part of the origin route, the route origin. Another critical tool is the ASPA. There is a new conversation at the IETF, not so new at all, but some established right now. That is the Autonomous System Provider Authorization, or ASPA, that is focuses on validating the provider and the kokyaku of the customer, these relationships of the autonomous system, which add a layer of verification that is like the routing paths. So I don't want to explain the technical concept, but you can validate that the origin is the correct origin. But what about all the routes in the middle, like the ASPA is called. So this new technology, the ASPA, is solving that other part that RPKI was missing. So through ASPA, the autonomous system can declare their legitimate QoQ or provider relationships and create this signed object or cryptographically signed object that is validated. So it's all about cryptography, right? Just to mention about that is complementing RPKI and ensuring that only the trusted provider-customer relationships, or Krokyu, Kokyaku, Kankei relationships are allowed. So this provides a stronger framework for a complete routing validation. And some of my final points, because the deployment of RPKI is optional. We need to say that. Is it the same with the DNSSEC and the IoT security João is mentioning, and a multitude of technologies, right? Also in the ICT. And this is an important point to understand, because there are several business issues or business reasons or why RPKI adoption remains optional. However, there has been a significant push in some countries. We have seen in Asia Pacific, in Saudi Arabia, for example, and several countries, the coverage, the RPKI coverage, right, is good. Sometimes the RPKI validation rate is not the best, or is like minimal, because one thing is to cryptographically sign these routes. Another thing is people validating that these routes are the ones that in the system are. So it's a bilateral thing, right? And we have seen very positive results on the RPKI adoption. And the challenge we face now is a term that is called in the internet governance ecosystem, and you will hear it around the Global Digital Compact, the Pact of the Future, and things that at the IGF later they will talk about that. It's about this potential abundance, right, of fragmentation. Certain regions or networks, if they don't adopt these security standards, they will be like unconnected from the ones that validate these RPKI routes and etc. Right? So this happened also with the quantum key distribution and everything Michael is talking about, because it's a similar thing. If you think some countries they will be having secure communications, and others they will simply not. So if certain regions or networks do not adopt these security standards, this will be very interesting, right? That is why we must address different scenarios for the deployment, specifically for RPKI, with a focus on this capacity building. That is the capacity building, right? We need to ensure that every network, regardless of the size of resources, because sometimes there is a cost in implementing security, maybe it's knowledge, maybe are resources, but you need money for sure. So regardless of this size of resources, to have the ability to deploy these security measures. But the question remains, how do we enforce adoption without leaving anyone behind? So the answer for me personally, and for the IS3C, that is a dynamic coalition at the IGF, that I also am part, lies in promoting ANSEM by design, or security by design, right? João also talked about that. Why you need to configure your IoT device when you buy it, why you need to change the default password sometimes to put a stronger password. So that is something that is not done by default. So this means encouraging software and cloud service providers, in the case of the RPKI, with these raw capabilities directly into the platform. So ideally, in a near future, networks will deploy autonomously with software that not only provides on the GDOS or self-configuration, auto-configuration mechanisms of ROA, but also will include this RPKI validation part by default. So that will be the best thing, because this will help ensure that RPKIs in this case, but also IoT security, DNS security, and other technologies become an integral part of the internet, instead of being something that is actually optional, right? Because of some diversity factor and openness of the internet, right? So this could be some manner, I don't like the word, but enforced and monitored at the infrastructure level. And whether this level of enforcement is really desirable is still an open question, right? Because we need to explore together how the industry, how the adoption and the procurement of these technologies is made. And looking to the future and within the scope of this network that is mixing three technologies that seems to be different but has some things in common, because we are seeing it. And we will continue the conversation at the Global IGF. But looking into the future, the development of standards like RPKI, DNSSEC, DMARC, or other, together with enhancing and procuring on post-quantum cryptography first, maybe, because we know the risks of the quantum computing. Every day we see the news, and I was very impressed to read about the wave case on quantum annealing. And this reflects a larger movement towards a robust, multi-layered internet security that is becoming unified efforts across different sectors and regions. The diverse stakeholders, you will also hear in the IGF about the multi-stakeholder concept, that is to have every sector at the table, not only the government, academia, private sector, and also civil society. That is a very important part. And we are paving basically the way for a stronger resilient security standard. But there is QKD, right? The issue of the quantum memory, as Michal mentioned, and for the actual quantum internet or internet, there are some efforts there at the IRTF, or the Internet Research Task Force, that is the part of the IETF, the Internet Engineering Task Force, on how the quantum internet will look, how this quantum routing that involves not only quantum networks, but also a hybrid approach, because at first you need to connect classical networks with quantum networks. And it's a very good work that they are doing at the IRTF, and where all protocols you have here today are developed at these standardizing entities, right? And also, it's quite important to mention that the IETF, or the Internet Engineering Task Force, has a similar multi-stakeholder way at the IGF. Actually, everyone can participate from all sectors, basically, and you have a part of the session when you can speak at the mic, and if you have drafts, it's all based on documents and drafts and versions. So once in a time that is reviewed with a strong procedure, these documents end to being standards, right? And those standards are adopted by the regional registries, by ICANN, by different entities in the internet. So that could be the way to also enforce this internet secure by default. So this is as for now, Wataru, and returning to you, arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you, Nico. I personally have a lot of discussion with Nico about deep technical things, but we don't have time today. So let's move on to the next and the final topic. So IoT security. João, when it comes to the IoT security standards, the interoperability seems to be a significant challenge. Could you provide some examples of how we can ensure interoperability while maintaining robust security in these increasingly connected environments? João, we don't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry again.
Okay.
So, yeah, thank you, Wataru. And well, I would like to start speaking about the experience I had using a specific software called Host. It's a simple system that aims to help you configure web servers to a personal usage. And what is a novel for me to this is that they try to standardize the way you need to configure the system. So you want to host a cloud server to store your files. You want to host a system to navigate between your photos. You want to host a system to your blog, and they try to make it interoperable. The way you will manage them, it will be almost the same, and they use the best practices to configure the security of your systems. And this to me is very good, because I have a technical background, but it's very difficult to configure so many systems that we rely on, and I wanted to host it myself. So when we transpose this experience to what we have in the IoT landscape, we see a similar challenge. So I have a smartwatch, I have a smart robot, a smart weight measurement system, and all these devices run different systems, and I need different ways of configuring them. And this is very difficult because you need to keep track of all of them. And as the number of these devices increase in my home, it starts to get really difficult to account for any updates that they need, to account of any specific security requirements, security setup that you must have in each one of them. And if we have a system to centralize this setup, and as the host example show in simpler terms, already configuring the underlying security difficulties, it would be a huge step forward. And when we start discussing it, we understand which sectors in the multi-stakeholder approach we need. So we need the manufacturers to come closer and agree to provide a way, a API to the configuration of their systems. We also need experts to develop the best practices that they must follow to ensure that we have secure communications in this regard. We need the consumers to give feedback and to point towards the requirements that they want to the usability of the systems, and also what data they want to protect and on which ways. And so, and of course, we need to do this as a global approach, because we know that the production of the systems is globalized, and it's not related to a specific country, and the brands are produced in any part of the world. So it's very important to have this global effort. And also, when we speak about international standards, as my friend Nicolas already said, we have already international bodies that are showing concerns about the security of the devices that we have now. And using these spaces to show what we want and how we want to secure, how we can standardize the communication protocol to the system would be a huge improvement, because we already have these structures, we already have the specialists capable of organizing it. But we need to create this kind of standard, but we also need to have the manufacturers closer to implement them. So this was what I wanted to speak. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So we still have a few minutes, but just a few minutes. So now I want to open the floor for questions or comments, if any someone have. So I don't see any hands up, so maybe let me go to the closing remarks. So thank you all for your question and active participation for today's session. To wrap up, in every single technologies, we find that they're of course important, and for the adoption we need global cooperation. Maybe it could be a standardization process. It could be a discussion process in terms of policy, but there must be some kind of the global coordination and cooperation for the security also, as well as other things. So and these technologies are still evolving, and the collaboration across the technical part and policy part and the industrial sectors is a key to making progress, I think. So I'd like to thank again our panelists.
Can I make some?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. This is Akinori Maimura from JPNIC. Thank you very much for the session. It is really well showcased the front edge technology for the future internet, and then congratulations to have successfully showcased and then exhibit it to the audience of the Japan IGF. Then it's really great to have this kind of technical stuff to the IGF session. Then I expect that this session in the Riyadh IDF will be another successful session. Then I'd like to ask you, any of you or the Wataru as the moderator, what kind of the input or feedback do you expect from the other stakeholders in IGF or here in Japan IGF?
Well, let me answer that question. So I personally want the feedback on the we are, I mean, I and other panelists are basically technical people, technical guys. So maybe someone on the floor cannot understand what they are saying, and the same thing could be happen in the vice versa, and maybe technical people cannot understand, maybe cannot understand some words or terms or philosophy. So what I think what I need is the exchange of such information. What do you understand, or what did you not understand? And that kind of their basic communication makes the great collaboration and the basement of the enhancing the technology and the policy.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Wataru, for that. So that's you are right. For example, even in the Japan IGF here, I participate in a lot of sessions, and then where where the theme is completely unfamiliar to me, then I learn a lot. So maybe you would expect overwhelming number of the other stakeholders in the Riyadh IDF. So good luck for such active discussion there. Thanks.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Wataru. Excuse me. I comment one. This is Masanobu Kato from Japan too. I had the same, kind of, issue there, and it's very helpful to hear, the voices from technical people, which are very important part of the, policy decisions we are discussing right now. And since you touched upon the importance of interoperabilities, if you could, speak to non-technical people with some, some protocols which could interoperable, among technical and non-technical people, and if you could be a bit more conscious to explain how that your technical concerns or the approaches may affect on non-technical or the real users' world. And that would be very helpful, if you make a presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you for comment. We are doing very hard for that, so that we can interpret.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
okay. Let me answer this question
Oh,
for you.
great.
So we need interoperability to use a same system to configure more than one device. So you have a few devices and you want to check if they are updated. If we would have a centralized way of accessing them that can show the security features that are configured, it would be a very good advance, because you could, in a very fast pace, validate if everything is set up. You could have a specific app in your phone that could check the security of your appliances, and doesn't need and this app wouldn't need to rely on several ways of communicating with several systems. That is the reality now. So this is the idea I have on interoperability of security.
Thank you, Joel. And I know that we are running out of time, so thank you all of our panelists, Michal, Nicolas, and Joao, and for their valuable insights. And of course, a big thank you to all of you for your participating today. Please continue to explore these topics and engage with us at the upcoming Global IGF session next month. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. 改めて感謝申し上げます。
ありがとうございました。